So, welcome to the first episode of How I My Gearbox. Now, if you watched the videos before, you know I like to drive my car hard. It was built that way, it's meant to be driven, it gets driven. This is, wouldn't say the outfall of it, it's not bad. This is an original gearbox that's done 128,000 miles. The past 2,500, 3,000 miles have been how I drive it, with, 40 odd brake horsepower more than it should do. So, what happened? Well, I did this. Multiple times, and then changing from second into third at about 7,000 RPM, quite harshly, doing 0 to 60 runs. A massive smile on my eyes, having fun. Got up the hill after the last run, and I was like, yeah, got to put it in fourth. That's enough fun for today. Didn't go in fourth. I was like, oh, it's not good. I then had to do a school run with it stuck in third gear, trying to park my lovely car in a particular place so I could turn around, turn it off, and then obviously put my foot in the clutch, start it in gear and off, and then pull off. We got home, it was good. But anyway, how is it stuck in third gear? It's a common problem with Mk2 Golfs. It might not happen to you, but when it does, you can go on YouTube and go tap tap tap, Mk2 Golf stuck in third gear, and I'll show you. So here is said gearbox. Now I've taken the pleasure, don't like playing with gearboxes. So I've taken the pleasure of taking it apart, fifth gear end off, blah blah blah, drive cups off, just so you can get the casing, just literally so I can see what's wrong. Now, if your car is stuck in third gear and you cannot shift it by doing the actual linkage on the gearbox on the back of here, it's stuck, which means all your selector's broken parts. So, let's see, that's the main casing in there. Said gears. Now, this is the bit we're after. This is your third gear. Now, I don't know if this will zoom in. If not, I'll do some pictures. No, it's not going to work. So, these little bits, these sit in these. Just wiggle that around. So you have one here and two more on the other side. So, what we have got, this is your selector, where your selector forks go on, which connects to your gear stick. This little bit here that moves, the bronze bit, is your synchronization ring. That selector bit, and then these are your main drive gears, driven gears. I'm not going to delve in too far on what gears are driven and blah blah blah, but this is, I'm going to show you the issue. So, these little things, they won't zoom in, but I'll show you a picture. They sit in here. Hold on, bear with. There's one still in there. See that? There we go. Right. Whoosh. Right. This is where they sit. This normally sits on top of these. Now, when you move your selector fork, you see that moving. The selector arm pushes these, there's three of them, and pushes against your synchro gear, synchro mesh, because that is like a tapered part inside. Pushes on that, and that pushes inside all of this and slows it down enough to engage gears, in simple terms. Now what happens to these over time is they sit inside the gears. They've got there's a spring inside here which holds these. The gearbox will stop wobbling when I'm trying to push these. Hold on. There you go. See? So they're sprung inside there. Now what happens to them is, well, there you go. See that end is broken. That's the part which pushes against these. Zoom. There we go. So like I said, this broken bit is a bit that pushes against the gears on both sides. Now, obviously over God knows how many miles, as you can see, it bent. I'll turn it around, and the other side. They were only folded over when they're built. You can also see an indent in there over the time it's been smashed in. And then you can see, I think this was sat in that way. the normal route of the selector pushing across. Now, what happened? Where are you gone? There you are. So what happened to this broken end? Why was it stuck in third gear? Well, as these sit like that, it's now broken. It gets pushed that way. It's now made a little ramp. What that does, spin this around to an empty one. Zoom in. Ta-da! So you can see the spring sitting in inside there. So what happens to these rectangles? Can't remember the technical term. As you push it forward, it rides up and jumps on. So I've got a picture. I'll show you the picture, but pretty much that ramp will just masterclass it in there. It won't, but pretty much that rides up and sits like that. And that is why it's stuck in gear, because that is hooked on here, and obviously it's sat underneath this, so you've got partial pressure from your selector circle bit locking on these. So that is how and why it's stuck in third gear. Also, so this is the gubbins out the back of the gearbox and a few bits. So these are for your selector bits. Now, what happens when it's stuck in gear is, to get it out, that breaks. Now, there's a roll pin that sits inside the top of there, which locates in said hole. Now, normally, if it's not stuck in gear, you can get the whole selector gubbins out, which I'll show you on the other box, hopefully. But also this one is a case of hammering it out, which breaks that roll pin, which also breaks that. Now, you can't really buy these parts. You definitely can't buy those smaller parts. Where does that leave us? Ta-da! So what's that, you may ask? That is an 020 gearbox. Now, all of these gearboxes of the Mark II and the early Mark III Golf gearboxes are 020 gearboxes. 2Y. This is a 2Y. That is a CHC, which is a Mark III Golf TDI box. Why have I got that one? Because it was cheap and I need the parts that are inside it. And as a bonus, it has a lower ratio 5th gear. Which means if you've got 16 valve, you'll find sitting in 5th gear on a motorway or back roads at 70 mile an hour, you're sort of 3,500 RPM, maybe tickling 4. Not very good, is it? So that should drop those RPMs down nicely. That's just a Billy bonus, because I need all the selector mechanism, because that box isn't broke, and I need those little rectangle bits to fit in here. So pull that one apart, get the bits you need, stick them back on here, clean all this out, replace some seals and bearings and gaskets, put it back together, make sure it goes into gear, selects and turns around, blah blah blah, put some fresh oil in it, get it back on the car, and let's see how it works. Now, this is a really good gearbox. It doesn't whine, it doesn't crunch, it doesn't do anything. Well, tell a lie, it does tick in reverse. When you go reverse, it goes tick, 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 tick. I thought it was a CV boot clip, you know, like the end ticking something. It's not. I'll show you what it is. So this is your reverse idler. So when you select reverse, that's in reverse. There's a little bit broken right there. You can see it. Don't know how that's happened, but it has. So when that's in gear and it's going round, that little bit is coming in contact with the reverse gear and it's going tick, 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 tick. It's really annoying. So obviously I'll change it over as well. So here are some pictures. Now this is when I took my box apart. As you can see, the little part there has popped out and has hooked itself on the selector ring or synchro mesh. There's a better picture of it there. So there we go. That is how a Mark II Golf box gets stuck in third gear. See you in the next one. Cheers.
You know that I'ma keep it cool. With you I feel like breaking rules. On the edge, looking out with no parachute.